There are weapons in nature you cannot see, no claws, no venom, no teeth, just sound. And in the right form, sound doesn't just disturb, it destroys. We think of sound as something harmless, a vibration that travels to our ears. But sound is pressure. It's force. And some animals have learned to concentrate that force into something lethal. To understand how sound can kill, you need to understand what sound actually is. Every noise you've ever heard is a shock wave, a disturbance pushing through matter. And if that disturbance is strong enough, it doesn't just push. It ruptures. The ocean is where this weapon evolved first. Water transmits sound 4 times faster than air. It carries more force. And in the deep, some animals have turned that physics into a hunting tool. The sperm whale produces the loudest biological sound on Earth. A click, simple, brief, but measured at over 230 decibels, loud enough to vibrate your bones from miles away. That click is not just for navigation. It's a beam of concentrated acoustic energy, focused, directional, fired from an organ in the whale's skull, designed specifically to amplify sound into a biological cannon. At close range, that sound can disorient prey, stun it. Some researchers believe it may even be powerful enough to cause tissue damage. The whale hunts in complete darkness, and its weapon is invisible. But the sperm whale is not the only animal using sound as force. Smaller creatures have evolved the same strategy, and some of them have perfected it in ways that seem almost impossible. The pistol shrimp is less than 2 inches long. It has one oversized claw, and with that claw, it can create one of the most violent events in the natural world. When the shrimp snaps its claw shut, it moves so fast that it creates a cavitation bubble, a pocket of vacuum in the water. And when that bubble collapses, it produces a shockwave louder than a gunshot. The collapse happens in less than a millisecond. But in that instant, the temperature inside the bubble reaches nearly 5,000 degrees Celsius, as hot as the surface of the sun. For a fraction of a second, this tiny shrimp creates a star. The shockwave stuns small fish, kills them outright if they're close enough. The shrimp doesn't need to touch its prey. The sound does the work, and it happens faster than the eye can see. This is not an anomaly. Pistol shrimp are common in tropical reefs. In some regions, their constant snapping creates a crackling background noise so loud it interferes with submarine sonar. Millions of tiny guns firing endlessly. But cavitation is not the only way to weaponize sound. Some animals use frequency, vibrations so low or so high that they bypass normal hearing entirely. And the effects can be just as devastating. The howler monkey produces one of the loudest calls of any land animal, over 140 decibels. You can hear it 3 miles away. But what matters is not just volume. It's the frequency. The howler's call is dominated by low frequencies, sound waves that travel farther and penetrate deeper. They don't just announce territory. They physically unsettle other animals. The vibrations affect the inner ear, balance, orientation. It's a form of acoustic dominance, a way to make rivals feel uncomfortable without physical contact. The sound itself becomes the threat. And in dense jungle where visibility is limited, this invisible weapon is remarkably effective. Evolution has taken this principle and refined it across species. Bats use ultrasound to hunt, but some species have developed echolocation calls so intense they may do more than just locate prey. The greater bulldog bat emits calls exceeding 140 decibels. At close range, these pulses may be strong enough to temporarily confuse or stun insects and small fish. The bat uses sound to see, but it may also use sound to disable. The line between detection and weapon becomes blurred. The same tool that maps the world can also disrupt it. And as we descend the frequency spectrum, sound becomes even stranger, more dangerous. Infrasound, sound waves too low for human ears to detect. Elephants use them to communicate across miles, frequencies below 20 Hz, traveling through the ground and air simultaneously. Messages that cross vast distances in silence. But infrasound does more than carry information. At sufficient intensity, low-frequency sound can cause nausea, disorientation, and panic in animals. Humans exposed to intense infrasound report feeling dread, an unexplainable sense that something is wrong. Elephants may use these frequencies not just to communicate, but to deter threats. The sound is felt more than heard. It resonates in the chest cavity, disrupts normal physiological rhythms, makes predators instinctively uneasy. This is a weapon of psychology, sound that triggers ancient survival instincts, frequencies that human technology only recently learned to measure. But elephants have been using them for millions of years. What makes acoustic weapons so effective is their invisibility. An animal can strike without revealing its position, can disable prey without expending the energy of a chase. Sound is efficient, precise, and sometimes overwhelming. When multiple sound sources overlap, the effect multiplies. Pistol shrimp colonies create acoustic fields so dense they form barriers. Whales hunting in groups coordinate their clicks. The ocean becomes a battlefield of invisible pressure. Prey species have adapted defenses. Some fish can detect pressure changes before the sound arrives. Others have specialized organs to absorb acoustic shock. But adaptation takes millions of years, and the hunters evolve too. The arms race between acoustic predator and prey has produced some of the most sophisticated biological structures on Earth. Organs designed specifically to generate and withstand forces that would rupture ordinary tissue. These are not simple mechanisms. They're engineering solutions refined over evolutionary time. Each structure represents millions of generations of trial and error, and the result is a weapon that requires no ammunition, only energy. Humans only recently learned to weaponize sound, sonar, ultrasonic cleaners, acoustic deterrence, but we didn't invent the concept. Nature did. Long before we existed, the ocean was already full of creatures using physics as a weapon. What's remarkable is how many different species arrived at the same solution independently. Shrimp, whales, bats, elephants, all using sound as force, all exploiting the same physical laws we only formalized a few centuries ago. This suggests something fundamental. Sound as a weapon is not a fluke. It's an inevitable consequence of physics meeting biology. Given enough time, life will find every possible way to exploit the laws of nature. The decibel scale is logarithmic. Every 10 decibel increase represents a tenfold increase in intensity. The difference between a whisper and a jet engine is power multiplied by millions. And some animals operate at the extreme end of that scale. At sufficient intensity, sound doesn't just vibrate matter, it tears it apart. Cavitation is essentially sound creating vacuum. The energy is so concentrated that it rips molecules away from each other. And when they snap back, the collision releases heat and light. This is sonoluminescence, light from sound, a phenomenon so extreme it borders on the surreal, and pistol shrimp create it thousands of times a day, casually, as part of their normal hunting routine. The precision required to generate these effects is extraordinary. The shrimp's claw must close at exactly the right speed. Too slow and no bubble forms. Too fast and the claw breaks. Evolution has calibrated this mechanism to within microseconds. And this is not the shrimp's only adaptation. Its body is reinforced to withstand the recoil. Its eyes are protected from the light flash. Its nervous system can trigger the snap in a fraction of a second. Everything about the animal is built around this single violent moment. In nature, specialization reaches extraordinary levels. Some animals become so refined at a single task that they represent the physical limits of what biology can achieve. The pistol shrimp is one of those limits, a creature that weaponized thermodynamics. But acoustic weapons aren't only about raw power. Frequency matters as much as amplitude. A dolphin's echolocation is quieter than a sperm whale's, but focused into a narrower beam. Precision instead of force. Different frequencies penetrate different materials. Low frequencies travel through walls and water. High frequencies carry detail but fade quickly. Each species has evolved the exact frequency range that serves its needs, and some have learned to adjust their calls in real time. Adaptation is constant. In noisy environments, animals call at higher frequencies to avoid interference. Near shipping lanes, whales have begun modifying their songs. The acoustic landscape is changing, and life is changing with it. What we're learning is that sound pollution may be more harmful than we realized. Not just annoying, physically damaging. Animals evolved in quiet oceans are now surrounded by engine noise, sonar, and construction. The pressure is constant, and some species are struggling. The irony is that humans are only now understanding what these animals perfected millions of years ago. Our sonar technology is crude compared to a dolphin's. Our acoustic weapons are inefficient compared to a shrimp's. Nature remains the superior engineer, and there are likely acoustic weapons we haven't discovered yet, deep-sea species we've never observed hunting, frequencies we can't measure. The ocean is vast, and most of it remains unexplored. What else is down there, killing with sound? Every new species we study reveals something unexpected. Structures we didn't know could exist, mechanisms that seem to violate what we thought were biological limits, and occasionally, weapons we didn't think were possible. The most unsettling realization is how common this is. Acoustic hunting is not rare, it's everywhere. Oceans, forests, caves, savannas. Wherever animals live, some have learned to weaponize vibration. It's a fundamental strategy of predation. We walk through a world filled with forces we don't perceive. Infrasound from storms and earthquakes, ultrasound from bats and insects, pressure waves too subtle for our ears but profound enough to influence behavior. We're surrounded by invisible violence. And perhaps that's what makes acoustic weapons so disturbing. They remind us how limited our senses are, how much of reality we simply cannot detect. The pistol shrimp's cavitation bubble creates temperatures hotter than the sun, and we would never know without instruments. Nature didn't wait for our permission to understand physics. It didn't need equations or laboratories. It had time and consequences. And through trial and error spanning millions of years, it discovered principles we're still struggling to master. The next time you're near water, listen carefully. That crackling sound in the shallows isn't static. It's the sound of tiny wars being fought. Invisible weapons discharging constantly. The ocean has always been a battlefield. We just couldn't hear it.